All right, today I want to show you how we do research for an inbound lead at the person level. So I've previously done a walkthrough on doing research at the company level. So whenever someone fills out a form on here on our Webflow website and they fill out a form, we do research at the company level and the person level, right? And I'm really just going to focus on the person level research and how we do that based on the person's LinkedIn profile, the posts that they made, and then how we tailor that to the workflow company and things that we care about, right? So just to show you an example of what that looks like, here is a research done on Owen, who works at AirOps. So I'm just using that, using Owen as an example because most of this workflow is being done in AirOps. So there is an overview that basically takes Owen's profile and talks about how he is an accomplished growth leader, a strong engineering background, which is quite interesting, excelled in scaling business operations, and everything else that comes from LinkedIn profile. Career highlights is often quite helpful to understand sort of their career arc of where they've been before, if there's any overlap with my experience, right? And it's just a good sort of zoomed out view of how they got to where they are today. And then I think also what's quite interesting, possibly more interesting than just looking at their profile, is if they're active on LinkedIn, what kind of posts have they been writing on that platform, right? Because it often tells you a lot about what they care about, how they think about these things, right? And anything else that kind of comes across in people's posts. So for Owen, for example, he likes to talk a lot about answer engine optimization, which makes sense because AirOps is sort of an AI native SEO type of tool, right? So it makes sense. His communication style is energetic, forward-looking, very direct in how he critiques outdated approaches, but he maintains an upbeat, practical style. Personal values and character. I inserted this in the prompt, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, but I care about sort of compatibility with my clients because I do work pretty closely with one-on-one with my clients, right? And so I just want to make sure that we align in terms of values and principles. And so this is something that I asked AI to do research on. And so this mentions things like how Owen creates campaigns around Thankful Thursdays, authenticity. There's emphasis on championing other successes. Sounds like a great guy. And so this is just helpful for me to kind of understand what type of person the lead might be, right? And then number 4 is also quite specific to my use case where, we do a lot of GTM engineering. And so I want to know what the prospect's level of understanding is when it comes to go-to-market, right? And how comfortable they are or how knowledgeable they are about sort of this new era of AI native go-to-market motions, right? And so here, Owen's talking about referencing the new wave of AI-driven content. And so there's a lot of this stuff that is very useful. And then it also pulls out some individual posts that I might be interested in actually navigating to and reading those posts. So I won't click into it, but there's links in here, right, with a quick summary. And then some recommended conversation approaches as icebreakers or something to bring up during the discovery call with the prospect around AI-driven SEO or preferred tooling for content automation, community first mindset, right? Like these are some little snippets that I can use in our conversation because I've done this research already, right? So let me show you what this actually looks like, right? So as I said, really just focusing on this piece right here that is being done in AirOps, but this is just a zoomed out view of the entire sort of workflow that takes inbound leads from Webflow, processes it in Attio, which is the CRM that I use, with the person, the company, and a deal, which then gets routed to AirOps to do some research. And then we create research notes and, as you saw, create a Notion page for our internal wiki and database, as well as on Attio so that we don't need to leave Attio and we can kind of refer to the note if we need to do stuff inside the CRM. So that's a really long intro, but now I'm going to jump into AirOps and show you what that looks like. So let me see. Here we go. This is this step right here, as well as create research notes and then routing that to Attio and Notion. So maybe visually that's a little bit easier to digest, but basically it looks like this, right? So in the inputs, this is being passed from Webflow into Attio and then to AirOps. So we take information like the company's domain, the company name, the person's email, the person's name, and that's it. Now, the first sort of challenge here is, well, we have the person's name and we have the person's email, but we don't have their LinkedIn profile, right? So we have to go out and try to find the person's LinkedIn profile. And that's what this first step in using GPT-4o search does. And so it's called the LinkedIn Profile Finder AI agent. And basically, I give it a set of rules to try. So maybe first try to find site equals LinkedIn.com, and then contact name and company URL. Company URL is very unique, so if there's a hit there, then that's probably the easiest way to find it. If not, then fall back to maybe the extracted email domain, so the part that comes after @ right? So Joe at the workflow company or whatever, then you can just take the workflowcompany.com or whatever it is, right? That's not my real email address, by the way. So anyways, and then if that doesn't work, then maybe you just look at the company name, although there is a fair amount of duplication because a lot of companies have similar or exactly the same name. So you would need to do some deduping there. So anyways, it goes out and returns the output, right? So always very prescriptive in terms of what the output should look like, and it returns the LinkedIn URL. It talks about its rationale, like what it did, how it searched for it, its confidence level, and then also the LinkedIn username. Once I have that LinkedIn username, I call an API on a custom server that I've set up, which returns the information around their LinkedIn profile as well as their LinkedIn most recent LinkedIn posts. And then we're able to take all of that information and just summarize it using LLM. So here I use O1, which does really deep sort of summary and is quite excellent. It's quite good at giving a good enough research that I can use in my discovery calls, right? And again, if I look at the prompt here, quite prescriptive in terms of what you're going to receive as an input, right? And then what the output should look like and what it should include. And really, this is where you can really tailor this workflow to serve you and your business context and your business goals, right? And so I like just getting a quick overview. So I added that part about just give me sort of the general description of this person's professional experience, right? And then also like career highlights. I don't necessarily want every role to be included in this note, but I just want like, what are the highlights, right? And then again, very prescriptive in terms of the output. So I wanted plain text output and I wanted markdown output for two reasons, right? This research is going into Notion and Attio. Attio currently only takes plain text as a working format for its notes. So I have to have it in plain text, and that's why I generate a plain text summary. And then Notion, you can just literally pass the markdown output into Notion, and Notion will format it automatically for you. And so that's the reason why I also want a markdown output. Just to jog your memory, right? Like there's sort of like heading 1, heading 2, paragraph, numbered bullet points, and all of that good stuff. You can just pass that right away. I think to further sort of elaborate on how we really use a prompting to serve our needs, and build tailored workflows, right? I give this agent that looks at LinkedIn posts pretty thorough instructions in terms of like, what do I need from you, right? So I don't know if I can, oh, there we go. You can see, for example, overall topic analysis, what do they like to talk about, communication style and tone, and then personal values and character. Like this was an example of, something that I added because I care about it, right? So observable values and principles, they seem to prioritize evidence of integrity, honesty, transparency in their posts, how they talk about colleagues, competitors, or partners, right? And then views on ethics, sustainability, or social issues. Now, even if the post isn't like explicitly talking about ethics or integrity or whatever, AI does a pretty good job of like picking up and inferences, right? And implicit points that are being made on this front. So I found this to be quite useful. And then obviously I care about sort of where they are in terms of their go-to-market engine and system and motions. And so that is something that I also care about and provide in a prompt for AI to really research on my behalf. So once all of this is done, it takes that information and simply puts it into a Notion page. So it creates the research page under context. AirOps makes it really easy because there's a native integration with Notion. And I basically just give it the output, the markdown output from the summary of their LinkedIn profile, which is step 4, and then their LinkedIn posts, which is step 5. And then the title is their the contact's name, email, and research. Then I also create an Attio note. I'm not going to click into this because there's my API keys in there, but it basically calls create note API endpoint in on at Attio, and then creates and identifies the right deal person, and creates an Attio note, again with the exact same output from our research, except it's formatted in plain text. So that is the current research motion, I guess, that we do for inbounds. Obviously, we can easily do this for outbounds or anyone else that's inside of Attio. The way we have it structured is such that Attio serves as sort of the source of truth, and then it'd be pretty simple to hook up this AirOps workflow to any other people, even if they didn't fill out an inbound form, right? Because this workflow lives sort of on its own, and I just need to push the input information like the company name and the person name and so on and so forth to trigger this workflow, and then save it inside of Attio and then in Notion as well. So always, yeah, I mean, this goes without saying, but always think about building workflows in a modular fashion so that you can easily swap in and out different pieces. And it's always just a lot easier to iterate and to improve and to like build out other motions based on this. So I hope you found this useful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thanks.